biggest need of the sheriff's office right now, and what would you do to fill that need? You have 1 minute.
Well, the biggest need is manpower. We have one of the lowest rates of officers per thousand in the area. The national average is about 2.1 deputies per thousand. We're at 1.24. Now, obviously, we've gone through a difficult economic time, but our service calls in just the past 3 years have increased by 40,000, almost 30%. So obviously, at some point, we have to start increasing manpower, understand the economic issues that are confronted by the county. We have decreased upper management by 7 and increased deputies by 7, but there are still 6 authorized positions that we have not filled simply because of budgetary constraints.
Thank you. Larry Jones, same question. What is the biggest need of the sheriff's office right now, and what would you do to fill that need, sir?
Well, again, it is leadership to start with. We need a leader in there that's police officer that knows the police officer and know where they stand at. And we also need, like the sheriff said, is manpower, because we have lost a lot of deputies recently in the sheriff's office. So we need to do something about getting people here to be able to stay here instead of wandering off going to other agencies. We need to get them here and keep them here.
Tom Doherty.
The biggest need is you have to have a sheriff that's a good communicator. If you have a sheriff that can communicate with the public and with his police officers, you're going to have a very good police department. The manpower situation is what it is. I'm a big believer in education and communication. So if you have a sheriff that believes in those two, you do everything you can to keep the public informed of what's going on. And if you're a good communicator, then everything falls into place.
Former Sheriff Fleming, you have 1 minute on the same question. What is the biggest need of the sheriff's office right now, and what would you do to fill that need?
I think the biggest need we have is the retention of deputies that we have. Not only that, and the ability to go out and train these deputies to make them a better deputy that's on the road. Also, we need to have the ability to lure people into this community for deputies, female and male, into jail and on the road. Also, we need to spice up the sheriff's office by giving them the benefits and the care that they need to have. Thank you.
John Lamb, you have 1 minute, sir.
First, leadership and experience. You need to establish a career development plan within the sheriff's office where people have identified what they want to do in the sheriff's office and make sure that they're getting the skills and the development to be the best as they possibly can. Know what you want to do and be good at it, Abraham Lincoln. So first, career development, leadership development. You need to have leadership development. Identify the leadership within your agency and start developing to then succession planning. Identify who's going to replace people down the road as people retire. Also competitive. Flagler County is the second lowest paid to Putnam County in the Northeast area. We're losing candidates and we're losing applicants, and actually veteran applicants, to other agencies because of pay and opportunities. We need to encourage them. We need to have a strong recruitment. And more importantly, enthusiasm. If I show you an enthusiastic leader, I'll show you an enthusiastic workforce. Thank you.
Jerry O'Gara, you have the question now in 1 minute.
They need support from the top. The morale is not where it used to be. We need to give them what they need when they need it. They need job security, a proper career path, good pay and benefits. That's not asking too much. That's the basics. If we give them those basics, they will serve us the best they can be. We'll have a safer neighborhood, and it will increase the values of our property. They are already very, very trained. They're very good officers. I see them, I work with them, I've talked to them. They don't need any more than what we can give them.
Rick Staley, you have the question in 1 minute.
Well, it's leadership and staffing. Benefits goes along with the staffing issue because that's how you attract I'm the only candidate to command of 2,000 men and women, second in command of the fourth largest sheriff's office in the state of Florida. And I lead by example. I'm probably the only undersheriff that's made arrests, booked them in myself. The staffing issues, 1.3 deputy sheriffs per 1,000 residents, but you fill that by using reserve, by using public service officers and some additional deputies, increase the benefits so that you can attract and retain the employees. And I'm out of time.
Mark Wisdom, you have the question, what is the biggest need in the sheriff's office right now, and what would you do to fill that need? You have 1 minute, sir.
The biggest need right now is to retain the quality of people that we have, the men and women that serve Flagler County every night. Right down from our doorstep. What I'm planning to do, what we're planning to do, is bring unity back to the sheriff's office. We're going to empower the deputies with equipment. They're going to have a say. They're all leaders. When they said they were going to uphold the Constitution and took an oath, they became a leader that day. Veterans will take #1 priority status. We have a lot of good veterans as far as our recruitment, and we're going to recruit quality veterans that served our country. They will take #1 priority, and I will not take a raise while in office. The raises will go towards the deputies. I will work hand in hand with the county commissioners to fight for their raises, and they will be protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom. Chris Yates, you have a question in 1 minute.
I think the biggest issue we have in the sheriff's office right now is morale. I worked with a lot of these guys from the neighborhood and everything, and they're upset. They want a leader who's going to be here and be there to support them. As far as pay, I'll give you an example. I work in the city of Holly Hill. We have a $2.4 million budget for our police department. The city of Palm Coast has a $3 million budget for the police or the sheriff's office to cover. The city of Holly Hill is less than 4 square miles, if you can take the range of the area and everything. Second thing is when our recruitment, we need to go out to all the schools and recruit the top-notch candidates from these classes, the academy classes, and select them and make a hiring process that limits or weeds out the non-par people and only hire the best the best officers that we can.
Thank you, Mr. Yates. We're going to move to our second question. We will begin with Mr. Jones, move across the panel, and come back to Sheriff Manfrey for the last third on the question. Question 2 is, what are your short-term, 6 months to a year, and long-term, 4 to 6 years, goals for the Sheriff's Office if elected? We begin with you, Mr. Jones.
The 6 month is to boost the morale up. The morale is at an all-time low. So we got to do something to get the deputies back to want to do their job. They have a job, they're just coming to work, but they're not enjoying what they're doing. So we need to do something to tackle that time we get in office. A long time, 12 months, is to keep the deputies there. We definitely need to keep them there. We are losing veteran officers to surrounding counties. I left in 2014, and since I left, I think about 20 or 30 guys have left behind me. One guy left 16 years on the force, he retired, just left. And we need to stop that and get them in there and keep them in there, because this county deserves to have good quality law enforcement officers. And it needs to be back to where it was when I first started in 1984, where law enforcement was law enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. We now move to Mr. Doherty. Same question. Once again, short-term goals, 6 months to a year. Long-term goals, 4 to 6.
So short-term goals, we have to find out why police officers are leaving. And when I was in the New York City Police Department, the way that you kept police officers was you kept them interested, you educated them, you trained them, you gave them recognition when they did a good job. It sounds to me like that might be lacking here. So 6 month goal is to find out why this is going on. And I'm going to get back to communication and education. if you're a good communicator, you should know what's going on with your police officers. You should know their personal lives, you should know what's going on with their families, you should know what their long-term goals are and their short-term goals. So that's a part of being a leader. Long-term goal is make the Flagler County Sheriff's Department the best sheriff's department in Florida, if not in the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Darling. Mr. Fleming, you have the question now, short-term and long-term goals.
The short-term goals we would be looking at, I would listen to every deputy, every commander in the agency when they start taking office. I will evaluate everybody in the position that they're in. I will retain everybody that they're in the position that they're in. I will look at listening to what their advice is or what they say is what we need to do. I'd also try to reestablish a bridge of communication between the community and the deputies. There's a program that was started in Richmond, Virginia, went to Rochester, New York. It's called Exile. It brought in all the stakeholders, the community leaders, the businesses, the agencies, and they met once a month, and they still meet once a month, and they go over all the crime that's going on. I'm concerned about the degree of high types of crimes that are happening in the county. That's something we would look at and sort of work on a long-range program to work it out. Thank you.
Mr. Land, you have the question.
Thank you. First, it's actually two-part. It's what we're going to do together within the Sheriff's Office. You identify the goals and expectations. You identify professional courtesy. You set yourself as an example, and together we work towards that. First, I'd like to tackle the traffic problem within Flagler County. More people are dying in Flagler County traffic fatalities than almost anything else. Second is the drug problem. I don't care what community you come from, there's a drug problem, and associated with that is property crime and violent crime. If you increase the staffing to support the training and the resources they need through the Fusion Center and through communications with the other counties, you can tackle that drug problem and have the return on investment with the property and the violent crime. But together we'll do that through empowering the employees, listening to them, aggressively listening. That's one of my core values as a leader. Aggressively listen to my people. So much institutional knowledge within this agency, and I'm so excited, looking forward to working with them to tackle these problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Land. Mr. O'Gara, you have the question on short-term and long-term goals.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the other 2/3 of the sheriff's office that hardly ever gets spoken about. It's the new jail. The new jail, I've opened up a couple of them myself. It's going to take a lot of time and attention. You're going to find doorknobs are too close to open slots. There's going to be a lot of changes that are going on. It's going to be difficult initially manning it and getting the proper formula for that. That has to be addressed immediately because it's opening soon. Then the next thing I want to address is domestic abuse. When I read the logs, that's all I see every day, domestic abuse. It's getting short here. What I want to do long term is reposition the substations, put them in visible places, add a couple of more. Because we have so many new roads these days, they need to be more visible. And even longer term, civil defense unit. I want to create a volunteer citizen group that can help us out when they're called alerted and called to help us out.
Thank you, Mr. O'Gara. Mr. Staley, you have the question now on short-term and long-term goals.
Well, the short term is to improve the morale and return it to a positive work environment. And that starts with meeting with every employee, finding out what makes them excited to come to work, where they want to work, and what they would change. No one's going to lose a job. They're all going to have an opportunity to fulfill their career path. The more of a shorter term, kind of mid-term, cyber crimes unit. Cyber crime is getting out of control. A Homeland Security unit. We're going to focus on gangs and drugs, traffic. I've been walking the neighborhood. I can tell you, every road that ends in a drive, every street that's in a drive needs traffic enforcement. Quality of life issues, domestic violence, and those sort of things is what we will focus on. Long term, I have 3 districts planned. There's 3 different communities in Flagler County: Beach, the urban core, and the west side. So I'm looking at 3 districts.
Thank you. Mr. Wisnick, you have the question.
Well, my platform being community accountability and trust, we're going to bring the community and the deputies together as one. For the 6 months in office, we're going to assess the problems that we have at the hand and listen to the deputies that serve in our neighborhoods, in our different areas, and listen to what they have to say and come up with a good, sensible approach with a measurable objective for 6 months, working together with the community. And also having a sheriff citizen interactive committee where they have a pulse to the sheriff itself, where the sheriff is approachable. And being accountable for these objectives for the next 6 months to 12 months to 24 months. This is a living, breathing thing. This is our life. This is our quality of life. This is not a job. This is a way of life. Thank you.
Finally, Mr. Yates, before we come to Sheriff Manfred, he'll have the last word. Mr. Yates, you have the question on short-term and long-term goals.
For short term, first of all, I'd like to reestablish a crime suppression unit that goes out and tackles all the major crime areas that we're having. I'd like to reestablish a narcotics unit, also build it. I'd like to be between an 8 and 10 man unit that just does nothing but hit the narcotics in our neighborhoods they're affecting our children, they're affecting our adults. It's going crazy. As far as communication with the community, starting day one, we're going to implement a sheriff's advisory board where we would meet at least once a month and we'll discuss every topic from use of forces, budgetary issues. If I'm going to make a big purchase, I want the community to know about it. I want their approval. Also, as far as the long term, I would like to implement about 3 districts, but I'd like 2, north and south, and have the way the command structure works. This house. I'll stop now.
Thank you, Mr. Yates. This is where Congress should be able to hold your time for later. If I can't do that, Sheriff Manfred, you have the last word on this, on the short and long-term goals for your department.
And I would like 30 seconds to respond to some of the criticism, because I think it's directly at the sheriff's office.
Let me check the rules. Since his name was not mentioned, does he still get to? We'll have 30 seconds, sir.
First of all, short-term goal, we are opening a state-of-the-art inmate facility, and for the first time, we'll be meeting accreditation standards. And just as we just had the patrol division accredited, our communication division accredited for the first time ever in its history, we will have the inmate facility accredited for its first time in its history. The long-term goal is we must tackle the mental health issue in our community. Our inmate facility, our deputies are the default mental health facility and experts in our community. We must rouse the state and also the county to provide mental health, community mental health, so that our deputies are not consistently dealing with the mental health issues in our community. And we have a place in this county other than our jail to deal with the mentally ill. As far as some of the comments we've made, first of all, we do have a management council right now. I meet every month with a deputy, a corporal, a sergeant, and a civilian from both the patrol and from the correction. That's been going on for 4 years. Every month I get input from the deputies. I do have a citizen advisory group that I meet with from concerned citizens. We meet on a quarterly basis and I get input from them. And also, we are at full staff right now. We have as many deputies as we have money for. We have the same amount of turnover as it was under the former sheriff. We have given deputies a 9.5% increase over the past 3.5 years, creating a step plan with seniority incentives. They had 5 years of no pay increases. So that's what we've done to retain deputies in our community.
Thank you, Sheriff Manfred. We begin with Mr. Doherty this time on question 3. Forgive me, I want to make sure, am I saying your name correctly, sir? Because where I came from, that's how we pronounced it. All right. We begin with you, question 3. Do you support post-retirement health care benefits for employees who retire from the FCSO with 25 years of service or more? And if so, how do you propose that this is best accomplished?
Well, I can speak for myself. I served 20 years in the New York City Police Department, and my health care is covered, and I do contribute to it. It will be covered until the day I die. I think that that's a reasonable thing for a person that has given so much to the community. As far as paying for it, unfortunately, that's gonna have to fall upon, part of it is gonna have to fall upon the taxpayer. And it's gonna be up to the people here to decide if they want that. If you think it's worth it for a police officer to have healthcare benefits for the rest of his or her life. Healthcare is extremely expensive, so that's something that I would leave up to the residents of Flagler County.
Thank you, Mr. Darden. Mr. Fleming, you have a question, 1 minute again, and if anyone needs the question repeated, so I don't slow all of you up, I'm happy to. This is on post-retirement health care benefits for employees who retire from the FCSO, 25 years of service or more. Do you support this benefit, and if so, how do you propose that it's best accomplished? You have the floor, Mr. Fleming.
Thank you. I'm a proponent of law enforcement people retiring with health benefits, but I'm also a realist when I look at it, and we look at what we have in the county and how we're going to work it. That's a program that we need to look at very hard and very long. I think that if the PBA and the community get together and they become one unit of working together, they're the ones that will support that, and I would be the one to approve that and put it into a budget. I also believe I heard that they were now going to be looking to hit deputies for $500 for hospitalization. I would be against that with the city, county commissioners 100%. There's no way that you guys could afford that. I would work that.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Mr. Lamb, you have the question on health care.
Yes, I actually am in support of it. I mean, we do it for our military. Why won't we do it for law enforcement, firefighters? They are first responders. They are protecting our communities here on the homeland. So, actually, 23 years in law enforcement, we almost had it in Jacksonville, and I was really excited, but when the court shot it down, it was a very, very sad day for us. But how would we fund it? Well, I bring an interesting expertise to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. I bring continuous improvement. I look for waste within an agency. I am skilled in project management and Lean and Six Sigma. And that's where you identify waste, not just paper waste, not just fuel waste, but waste and job and value added. So once we identify that waste, then nobody loses a job. We just find the best value for that person to find a job worth doing. Once you move all that around, you realize you've actually made money, not just in labs, but in other things. And that money can be applied towards the healthcare. So I'll be looking forward to actually tackling that problem, but I believe in it and I agree with it. Thank you.
Mr. O'Gara, you have a question.
Thank you. Of course, I support it. I paid 25 years into mine, and I received it. They deserve it. We owe it to them. How you get it is you talk to Mr. Dopp and his group, and you try to come up with productivity and savings. And once you have those, then you can go to the county commissioners or whoever, anyone else, see what kind of money they can help us out with. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Dopp and congratulate him on his promotion. Long overdue.
Mr. Staley, you have a question.
Yes, I do support it, and in fact, I implemented it when I was under sheriff in Orange County, so I know all about this. Unfortunately, a sheriff then revoked the policy, so and the employees no longer get it. But how we funded it, in my actuarial study that we did, was that when you take and I'll use numbers from Orange County, and a $60,000 a year deputy, and he retires or she retires, and then you replace them with a $30,000 deputy, then you have $30,000 per year of savings, minus what it costs you for that health care. So it actually can be done. The thing that you have to look out for is if it's not in a contract or it's not by state law, a new sheriff can come in or a county commission can force the sheriff, which is what happened in Orange County after I retired, and he revoked it. So all these people that retired lost their benefit and when they retired thinking that they had health care for life. So you got to really do it right and protect yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Staley. Mr. Wisdom, you have a question now on health care.
I fully support it as being a military member myself. Someone that dedicated 25 years to our lovely community should have the opportunity to take their health care with them. I will work directly with the county commissioners and project this. This is part of the projecting of years and years of setting goals and measures. If we want to keep good quality people, we need to give them good incentives. But sensible incentives that can work for the taxpayers when we work together as one, not just I. It's not what I can do, it's what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom. Mr. Yates, you have a healthcare question now.
What I would like to do is if, just use a number, say the sheriff's office pays $600 towards their medical insurance every year. When you retire, I would like to create a 50% stipend. So once you retire, the and you also stay on the insurance plan. So that way your insurance isn't going to hike up over a COBRA or something like that. So allow you to stay on to where your premium is $600. I'd pay $300 of it. And you can do that through an operational budget and line item because you'll know who's going to be retiring in the future. You can actually project it and budget it out fairly. Thank you.
Sheriff Manfred, you have a question on healthcare.
It's an outrage. It's an outrage that when our people retire, their medical costs go from somewhere reasonable to somewhere that is financially threatening to them. It's an outrage in the state that we don't do not more for retirees coming out of our law enforcement. But this is not a local issue. The locals cannot fund it. I've scrutinized every penny. There is no more I can squeeze out of this budget. This new budget, $600,000, is just to increase healthcare costs and retirement costs. This is a state problem. We have a state that disregards law enforcement. They have not given FHP and the federal state law enforcement officers raises in 9 years. They must provide proper health insurance, not just for law enforcement in this county, retirees in this county, but throughout the state. And it's going to take a statewide effort to alert that we have to stop giving tax deductions to the wealthy and start giving it to the working people, especially the retirees from law enforcement.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, you have the last word on healthcare.
I totally agree with it. You work 25 years, you should be able to walk away with your health care. The military does it. Why can't law enforcement? We're doing the same job. We're putting our life on the line daily. Don't know if you're going to return home at the end of the day. We need to get with the commissioners, county commissioners, as well as the citizens, and push for this. Just push. Strengthen the numbers. You go there with numbers, you're going to get some action. Thank you.
This next question will begin with Mr. Fleming. You will be first. We're giving candidates up to 2 minutes to answer this. And this question is a little bit technical, it's a little detailed, so I ask you all to bear in on this. Based on national averages, this agency is currently approximately 70 deputies short of recommended staffing of deputies per 1,000 citizens. Due to this shortage, the agency lacks several important units such as a gang unit, a crime suppression team, a full-time DUI unit, a full-time Marine unit, etc. It also makes the agency reliant on other agencies for services such as cell phone processing and computer forensics, among other things. What ideas do you have to increase staffing and make the agency more self-sufficient in the face of budgeting restraints? We begin with you, Mr. Fleming.
Thank you. When I was sheriff, I had a 5-year program that we worked. We established a crime suppression team that had over 70 felony arrests and over $240,000 in recovered goods within a 7-month period of time. We had a narcotics division where we established a liaison with the DEA up in Jacksonville. I sat on the HIDA board in Jacksonville, and I was the one that hopefully tried to funnel some money for Northeast Florida for those programs. I look at the agency that we've had, the agency that we have. We had a Marine Patrol. We had a scuba team. We had a canine team. We had a crime suppression team. And those are the ways that I was going in my future. A 5-year program that we would establish would do that. But in order to do that, we need to have the community leaders, the community stakeholders, and the people in the agency that could work hand in hand and be supportive when the sheriff goes in front of a county commission and asks for money for those types of things. It's a double-edged sword, but when you're talking about 70 deputies, that's an amazing amount. But when you look at the 5-year plan for Flagler County, we're going to be over 200,000 people. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared for the new jail. We need to be prepared for the mental health issues that are coming into the jail, over 80% of the people arrested have a mental health issue. We have to be stringent and smart on how we spend our money and how we hire and retain our deputies and how we can continue to move into the future by hiring X amount of deputies per year to reach the levels and the goals that we need to have. Thank you.